Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Political violence. 2 words nearly half of Americans believe is a major problem in our country. And know what? They are right. Welcome to the Dr. Phil Podcast. First, I want to say thank you. This podcast is absolutely blowing up beyond all expectations, and that's because of all of you. You obviously are interested in conversations that matter, and you are people who care. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe and follow button and share it with someone who needs to hear these discussions. And again, thank you for making this such a huge success. Now back to our topic, political violence. It's not just the physical violence, vandalism, and threats against government officials and those with opposing ideologies that is so alarming. It's the shocking fact that many Americans actually find using violence to solve political and societal issues acceptable. They think, yeah, that's okay. Even worse, when it comes to murdering a political figure, many find that justified and even celebrate the death. That's right, celebrate the death. In fact, a recent poll found assassination culture alive and well in America, with over 30% of respondents being able to justify the killing of Elon Musk and President Trump. That's almost 1 in 3 Americans. My first guest, Daisy, claims political violence is not only necessary for solving problems, it's a logical response when people feel powerless. You believe that political violence can be necessary for solving some societal problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luigi Mangione allegedly walked up behind somebody and cowardly shot them in the back of the head.
It's the safest way to shoot somebody. I consider it understandable self-defense, I'm assuming. He got tired of watching people die.
It's cold-blooded murder, and for you to validate that, to me, is a reckless, psychopathic thing to do. Political violence. 2 words nearly half of Americans believe is a major problem in our country. And you know what? They seem to be right.
Breaking news, former President Donald Trump is safe and a 20-year-old shooter is dead after a shocking assassination attempt.
This is what a city on edge ahead of Election Day looks like. This is one of several businesses here in downtown Washington that are boarded up. They are preparing not just for protests, but even for the potential for political violence and rioting, like what we saw after the 2020 election.
Trump is president, Christ is king.
This morning, the FBI is investigating after several Tesla vehicles were shot at and set on fire in Las Vegas.
The suspected killer of United Healthcare CEO is now in custody. Luigi Mangione, charged with 1 count of second-degree murder.
Tragically, political violence is becoming normal in America, and the newest threshold is corporate America.
Officials have arrested nearly 100 people after a crowd of protesters stormed the lobby of Trump Tower in New York City. They're demanding the release of Mahmoud Khalil.
Democrats don't trust Republicans. Republicans don't trust Democrats. There's no middle ground here whatsoever.
The way you take care of a bully is you bloody their nose. And that's where we're at.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other. It is not okay, and it has to stop.
It's been reported that we are seeing the most sustained surge of political violence since the 1970s. Yet it's not just the physical violence and vandalism against political leaders, federal judges, public officials, and those with an opposing ideology. These attacks also come in the form of death threats, verbal harassments, and even swatting those in the media, which have included myself and Robin. Yet what may be even more appalling than these vicious attacks are that many Americans find using violence to solve political and societal issues understandable. Even worse, when it comes to murdering a political figure or the CEO of a healthcare organization, many can find that justified. In fact, a recent poll found assassination culture alive and well in America, with over 30% of respondents being able to justify the killing of Elon Musk and the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. My first guest, Daisy, claims not only can political violence sometimes be necessary for change, it can be a logical response when people feel powerless.
I hate it when somebody says that violence isn't the answer. Yes, actually it is. A lot of the time, violence is the answer. Violence is the answer that you seek for a lot of your problems. Not every problem, not the problems that can be solved without violence, but a lot of problems can be solved with violence and can be solved permanently with violence.
We talk about morality like it's clean. But there's a point when the planet is dying enough that eco-terrorism becomes a moral act. We're watching the planet burn, and billionaires like Elon Musk keep making things worse. People are lashing out because they feel powerless to do anything else. That's not madness, that's logic.
You just have to be ethical about it. Take care of nonsense that needs to be taken care of expeditiously.
Daisy, welcome. I'm interested to talk to you, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Dr. Phil, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
You believe that political violence can be both logical and necessary for solving some societal problems. Not all, but some.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do. We're all glad that the slaves got freed. We all understand Harriet Tubman. We all appreciate having weekends. Even the ADA, the American Disabilities Act, only got passed through violence. It's an unfortunate fact of our society that sometimes that's the nudge that things have to happen so that things happen. Yeah, I meant it that way.
You say that human rights have never gotten advanced by asking nicely.
Yeah, I think it's a psych checker that said nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who are oppressing them. The people who commit political violence always believe they're committing a moral act. And then we, armchair quarterback, currently and throughout history, to determine if what they did was morally correct. But in the moment, everyone feels like they're behaving rationally. That's just how we as a species operate.
You don't think that's a reckless mindset to take?
I mean, reckless is something that we label something else. You know, like when we joined World War II, we didn't want to. We were kind of pushed into it. But when we did, we leaned into it. And yeah, I agree. We were morally correct to do so. We, on no matter what side of politics that you're on, whether it be the people protesting, like in the January 6th, which I appreciate you added to the clip because that's a very recent example of people who thought they were committing political violence for good reasons. We can discuss what it is, but was it reckless? Absolutely. People were hurt, people that didn't need to be hurt. Were they trying to overthrow the government? A lot of people say yes. Do I agree with those people? Yeah. I was present during the 2020 protests in Seattle. I was on the ground in the daytime. I couldn't be at the protests because I have really bad asthma and the cops kept gassing neighborhoods. But from a certain perspective, the police started almost all of the violence, and the state violence itself is what perpetrated that violence, because violence always stabs both ways. So yes, it is reckless, but sometimes it feels necessary, and people just don't have the pleasure of sitting around and thinking things out in the moment.
Well, we can argue that, but that, factually, that's just not true. The CHOP protests in the Chaz area, for example, those kinds of violence weren't started by the police. They were started when protesters in Seattle, for example, claimed a 6-block radius in the surrounding area as their own and occupied it for 23 days. And that's a matter of fact. It's a matter that's been confirmed by video. Both sides have acknowledged that.
Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't started by the police. It was started by the protesters.
Well, as someone who was actually on the ground, and I do actually agree with a lot of what you're saying, that factually there was a lot that was taken over, but that is actually an example of what I'm discussing. It wasn't a planned takeover. Remember, the police abdicated the space. They left. There was no planning. There's no leadership. People stepped in to take over a space that was abdicated by the police because they were scared. They thought that police station was going to get burned down. And most of that 6 blocks was 1/4 of one park. And when I personally went down there and filmed in that park, in the daytime, it was families hanging out, using the park for park reasons. And then at night, they would show up for like vigils. These things universally started peacefully, and then, because the space wasn't policed, attracted people who wanted to commit violence. We can't group everyone that was there into agreeing with the people who committed violence. A lot of the people were just trying to effect change. These people believed they were doing the right thing.
Let's get specific. You say that you are, quote, a huge fan of Luigi Mangione.
Actually, I am. I'll remind you, we are going to have to say this just for legal reasons, but alleged. Even though the state is convinced he committed that, we still don't have that as a matter of fact. So if we move forward with the assumption that Luigi Mangione did commit this act of violence, I'm kind of a fan of it because I have permanent debilitating diseases that can die like that. And that people who have things like I do, like type 1 diabetes, die every single day because their medication is withheld for the sake of profit. This in itself is an act of violence.
You aren't allegedly a huge fan. You are a huge fan of what he allegedly did.
Yeah, actually I am. It's probably one of my strongest political views.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. We have to take a break. When it comes to posting on social media, Daisy is not shy about sharing what could be seen as violence-inciting posts, and I'll show you what I mean after the break. Hey, Dr. Phil here. Your savings are at risk. With the economy on shaky ground, the dollar losing value, and a $2 trillion deficit, things could spiral. Don't wait for the worst. Take control of your financial future now. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. What are you going to do to protect what's yours? Claim your special offer and learn how to reinforce your financial future. Visit drphilgold.com to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Visit drphilgold.com today. This episode is brought to you by Masa Chips. For decades, chips were fried in tallow until big corporations switched to cheap seed oils. Now, seed oils make up 20% of the average American's daily calories, linked to inflammation and metabolic issues. Masa is bringing back the good stuff with 3 simple ingredients: organic nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. No seed oils, no junk, just a crunchy, sturdy chip that won't break in your guac. Masa Chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts like Ben Greenfield and Gary Brecka. Ready to give masa a try? Go to masachips.com/merit and use code MERIT for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/merit and code MERIT for 25% off your first order. We're back with Daisy, who says that they think that political violence can be logical because it brings about change. And I mentioned that they have put up posts that reflect exactly that sort of thing. February 28th, Daisy posted, "My man Luigi did nothing wrong. Hashtag free Luigi, hashtag Proud Boys." March 31st, Blue Sky. On this Trans Day of Visibility, I want to remind all of the Trump supporters that my pronouns are, quote, loaded weapon, and my gender is, quote, open fire. April 10th, Blue Sky. Stop taking the high road. Give your inner child a Glock and see what happens. Those are your posts. Did I read those right?
No, you got it. I mean, I really appreciate you both. You understand. You've got a great media empire. You worked really hard to build that. A lot of times we make really deterministic and solid statements just to get views. And I'm not saying that what we say is, it lacks, I want to say it lacks a middle point of view simply because those point of views get ignored. So, for instance, the picture you show of me with the baseball bat, we're not showing clips from that because when I did that, I said I was patrolling my neighborhood for Proud Boys who hunt people in Portland. These people hunt trans folks. I'm out there as an act of self-defense. And so while we show the video of me with the baseball bat, we lose the context that I'm only there because there's people hunting other people actively on the streets at night. And me making a stand, me being there, shows them that they can't do it with freedom. We all believe in defending our own. You believe in defending yourself. I'm a huge fan of the Second Amendment. That last quote of mine is a joke, but it's true. If somebody is hunting you, you're allowed to defend yourself. That's one of the reasons we even have the Second Amendment. I just don't own a gun. I own a bat and a machete.
Was what Luigi Mangione allegedly did, do you consider that self-defense?
I consider it understandable self-defense. Same thing that I was doing. If he did it, he believed that he was defending. I mean, I'm assuming. I don't know Luigi. I'm assuming that what he did was what he thought was proactive self-defense. He got tired of watching people die. He got tired of watching people getting killed for the sake of capitalism and profit, and he decided to take act. And here we are talking about it. Didn't several places change their rules immediately after? Insurance companies were affected. We're charging him with terrorism because corporations are scared. People could shoot up a school and not get the death penalty, not get charged with terrorism, but you kill one guy in a suit who's responsible for killing people, and all of a sudden it scares everybody. We're going to put him on a perp walk with a bunch of guys with big guns. Nobody's scared of Luigi Mangione. Children are scared of school shooters, but we want to talk about Luigi like he's the problem.
He allegedly walked up behind somebody on the street and cowardly shot them in the back of the head. And you sensationalize and glamorize that?
It's the safest way to shoot somebody. That's how they did it in the Old West. I'm not going to kill anybody. And if I did it in self-defense, they're going to be facing me because that's the kind of person that I am. But if you want to shoot somebody, it's the safest way to do it. We're talking about the justification of it, but he could have done it from the front. He just wanted to make sure he got his shot. So if we follow that he thinks he's making a rational act, he did it in a rational way. Well, how did he screw up? He flirted with a girl.
That is a psychopathic interpretation of what you're describing. He walked up behind someone and shot them in the back of the head. That's cold-blooded murder. That's not self-defense.
Yes.
That's cold-blooded murder. And you're saying, hooray for you had on a Luigi hat.
I do. I still wear it. I couldn't wear it today because they didn't want me to be super colorful. But yeah, I wear it. I wear it at work. Like, I'm making a political stance, which is hardcore to what's going to be a lot of your viewers. But remember, like that photo right there, I'm out there defending my neighborhood. It's not that different than taking a gun to defend your family if somebody breaks into it. It's just Luigi took even more extremes. And yeah, I might come across as harsh because I'm a cheerleader because he took those actions. And yeah, that is going to alienate a lot of people. But there are also a lot of people that agree with me. They're sick of all the people who die because of profit. And he decided to take an action. People are going to celebrate that action.
And
if we didn't have to go
you support firebombing Teslas. You support firebombing Teslas.
I think that mostly is a useless action. What that is that's an understandable action because it's not like these people can actually get at the billionaire class. They very wisely make their statements, make their decisions, and then they don't go down on the street and talk to people. They pay people for that. These people hire the Pinkertons to go after people. They hire bounty hunters. They pay off the cops and government officials to do the violence for them. So violence comes back at them. Violence stabs both ways. If they didn't want violent acts to come their direction, they would stop perpetrating violence.
And you say when watching hate speech rise and fascist policies creep in, the only thing people have left is violence.
Yeah, they don't have action. We don't have financial democracy. People don't have choices. Even voting doesn't exactly get you anywhere. I'm from Idaho. You know, it's not like when I voted in Idaho, it did anything for me. You know, the people in Idaho struggle, and everyone that can't afford to leaves. I moved out in 2019.
Have you ever heard of Martin Luther King?
I love Martin Luther King. Yeah. Why don't we teach what Martin Luther King wrote in school?
Well, because people like you go around and you go around and clap for people like Luigi Mangione. Martin Luther King said, if you succumb to the temptation of using violence in the struggle, unborn generations will be the recipients of a long and desolate night of bitterness, and your chief legacy to the future will be an endless reign of meaningless chaos. And you stand up and applaud a coward who shoots somebody in the back of the head.
I'm curious why you're so fascinated with the shooting in the back. Would you be saying the same thing if he shot him in the front?
Yes.
Yeah, you just wouldn't use the word cowardly to try to enhance the argument.
Yes, I would, because he walks up to an unarmed person on the street and unexpectedly ambushes and shoots him in the head. That's a cowardly thing to do. That's murder. It's cold-blooded murder, whether you shoot him in the back of the head, the ear, the forehead, whatever. And for you to applaud that and validate that, to me, is a reckless, psychopathic thing to do. You can't possibly really believe that.
Yeah, and I completely understand. I understand where you're coming from.
You can't
and I
possibly
understand why
really
that seems really
that.
scary.
You can't possibly
obviously
really believe
I do. I'm saying it in public. Like, the fact that we disagree and there's this chasm of understanding on why people would make these choices is where this conversation comes from. We all agree in political violence. You just don't like how it's being applied in this situation when people feel helpless.
We don't all agree in political violence. We don't all agree in political violence. So we have to take a break. A college student who claims she was violently attacked on campus due to her political affiliation. She says political violence is disgusting and a form of evil. We're going to add her to the conversation after the break. With so much going on in your life, it can be easy to neglect your diet. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements have 31 ingredients made from fruits and vegetables. They're a fast and simple way to get a wide and colorful variety that fits right into your busy schedule. Just 3 fruits and 3 veggies supplements daily with some water, that's it. Whether you're off to spend time with your grandchildren or on your favorite hike, you can rely on these convenient supplements to be there every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first preferred set as a new preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Dr. Phil. That's DRPHIL. We are in the midst of a brutal allergy season. According to experts, it is longer and more severe than in years past. For many of us, that means sleepless nights, tossing, turning, and sneezing, and the dreaded postnasal drip. That's not even half of it. But there is a solution. Sambrosa night syrups. It's effective. Try it and get your best night's sleep. If you watched my town hall with RFK Jr., then you know Sambrosa is sponsoring Merit TV's Make America Healthy Again campaign. That's because Sambrosa contains no dyes, synthetic colors, or artificial flavors, and no high fructose corn syrup. Just a base of nutrient-rich honey and 7 organic herbs and a small dose of antihistamine that will have you sleeping like a baby. Go to Sambrosa.com and use code MERIT for 25% off your first order. Wake up rested and invigorated. Again, go to Sambrosa.com and use code MERIT for 25% off your first order.
A few weeks ago, a transgender man attempted to kill me by swinging a bike lock at my head. We were promoting a comedy show on campus. He swung and hit our canopy tent that we had set up. I then told everyone to watch out. He went to our table and swung his bike lock and shattered my phone. The screen was severely shattered. I went to go approach the man to try to get him to stop, and that is when he went and he swung the bike lock at my head and attempted to murder me. I yelled out, record, somebody record. That's when that video was recorded of my secretary recording the man who attempted to hit him with a bike lock as well.
Oh, that's full assault.
Go! Back up! It's funny how they call us evil, but they're the ones that want to kill us, right? The tolerant left, they claim to be so tolerant. Why do they resort to violence? Why do they resort to wanting to kill someone with a metal object? It's disgusting. Back up!
Well, that was Paige, who claims the alleged assault she endured at the hands of another student on her college campus was politically motivated. Why? Because Paige is president of her university's Turning Point USA chapter, an organization known for its conservative views. Paige, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
When we talk about a bike lock, we're not talking about a chain. This is the kind of bike lock we're talking about, which probably weighs a pound at least. And it's serious, it's heavy, and you could clearly kill somebody with this.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
It's essentially a hammer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a claw hammer.
Felt like it, yeah.
Yeah, you could certainly hammer a nail in with this easily. Why do you think this happened?
He did not like our club's views. He obviously knew who we were. I'd seen him before the event happened 2 weeks prior at one of our Turning Point events, and he tried to attack us then too by knocking over our microphone stand. So he knew who we were. We're out there tabling every week, Monday through Wednesday, we're there. He knows us, he knows our presence on campus, and he doesn't like what we stand for, and that's our conservative values.
Okay, and you say no one tackled this person? Nobody tried to stop it?
No. Nothing. No, there were plenty of bystanders. So where this happened on our campus is the heart of our campus. The library's there, the student union is there. Everyone who goes to this campus has to pass through there to go to their classes or eat or go study, right? There were a lot of bystanders there, and nobody took the initiative to stop this guy. And he's obviously small enough to be tackled or small enough to be restrained or stopped, and nobody took the initiative. And I find that disheartening and sad.
Were there any confrontations going on?
No. So, there was no provoking of this guy at all. As I said in the video, we were promoting our comedy show. It was midterm season, so we wanted to add some enlightenment to the campus. We were just promoting that and saying, hey, come by our comedy show. We have free pizza. And he came by on his bike and started attacking us. There was no provoking at all.
Okay. So what was the aftermath? You say there was a GoFundMe that was created for who?
For the attacker. There was a GoFundMe set up for him. There were comments online posted that I deserve to get hit harder. Turning Point USA deserves to be demolished. We deserve this violence against us. It's disgusting. There was a protest. It was a Trans Day of Visibility protest on campus, and they were supporting him because he's a transgender man. And they said, Turning Point, get off our school. We don't like you. We don't like our police officers. They want us out of there. And they're supporting him, even though I was hit in the head.
And there were some posts that were put up. They read, Paige didn't get hit hard enough, LOL. It's the best thing that ever happened to her. Deserved for bigotry. TPUSA, all should have their skulls pushed in. Does anyone have a link to the bail fund?
Yeah.
Did someone give TPUSA a taste of their own medicine, ? So these were the things that were put up. I mean, how did you feel about that?
I felt disgusted, honestly. I went to our campus police and I asked, please, be our securities. We had security guards at our tabling the next day after. I asked for a statement about violence being put out by the dean. The dean, she said it's in the hands of the president, and the president said, no, we cannot put out a statement, condoning violence, saying we don't accept that's happening to you. We don't want more violence on our campus, because my school, it's not a campus of hatred. We're a small commuter school. It's not like we're A&M who has thousands of students. No, we are a small school. No one thought this is possible at our school. Nobody ever thought that. And so I want a statement put out saying we do not condone violence of any kind, and they refused. It's very sad, and I'm scared for people who want to be in the club later on.
Has your organization ever been to a meeting or anything of the sort? Have you ever fostered any physical violence towards anyone?
No.
Of any group?
No, we actually, when I do our tabling outside as the president, I encourage conversation. I encourage people from other clubs who do not like us. There are clubs that are established that we know don't like us. I say, hey, come have a conversation with us. Come talk to us. We're normal people. We're just students like you. Come have a respectful conversation. Come discuss, what you like and don't like about us. We're not full of hatred and malice. We're not out here attacking people. We're offering free cookies and free pizza at our meetings, right? We're not a club full of hate. We just want to have a club full of friends who get together and we hang out. That's it.
And the university did nothing. Has this individual been arrested, prosecuted?
Yeah, so actually I am happy that the university police, they got him the same day that he hit me, 4 hours later. Funny enough, he was still on campus doing his normal day-to-day activities. They caught him in a school building, and I really commend them for that. The UCD police have been incredible. We have their numbers in our phones. If we ever need anything, they're there within an instant. The only thing that I do not like is how they will not put out a statement against violence. And he has been expelled, so they have done their job in that regard. But I would like a statement, because obviously these messages online, they're a lot of them, and that's against us, and that's scary that other students feel the same way he did. They could attack us as well. It's scary.
All right, we have to take a break. Daisy claims when it comes to Paige's alleged assault, her attacker was acting in self-defense. And I guess maybe that justifies hitting her in the head with a bike lock similar to a hammer. I'll get Daisy's opinion about that after the break. Tonight we're discussing the rise in violence against political figures and those with opposing societal views. Now, while many Americans are not crossing the line to commit these violent acts themselves, a large portion of the country does support those who do. Daisy, say hello to Paige. Paige, say hello to Daisy.
Hey, Paige.
Hi.
I hope you're doing well today.
I am. I'm very blessed to be here.
Daisy, you say this was an act of self-defense. You weren't there, and nobody was attacking or harassing this individual, but you say that Paige's political stance is a form of violence.
In 2019, the Turning Point did a tour called A Culture War. This was a war. They declared, the right does this, they declare war and then get shocked when somebody acts like they're in a war. And this is just messaging for Paige. This isn't a condemnation, just because this probably isn't something that you're highly educated in. But a transgender man would have been born feminine and then transitioned into a male. So you can call whatever pronouns you want. I'm a Gen Xer. You can't hurt me with it. But a transgender man would be somebody who was born female. So she's a transgender woman. And that's just so that when you talk about it in the future, people will definitely have a clear understanding of your stance. Because when you do transgender man, people are going to just assume that you mean the opposite of what you're trying to mean. So while I actually believe that Paige and Turning Point USA should be on campus, I believe they should be able to have their club and their friends and have a discussion. Do I agree with them? No. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to do it. I don't condone it. I just understand. Listen to how we talk about her right now. Right now here in a very public format, we are actively making sure that we're calling her a man. We're making sure we've said the word he and him a lot, right? And how would that make somebody feel You know, like, I want to have empathy for both sides of this. She's under attack from, like, there's hundreds of thousands of viewers on this channel. This is going to be seen for a very long time. She's going to be in an environment where she feels like she's attacked.
Well, when he goes to jail, he's a man.
Generates
He's a man.
violence. Well, that's fine. Like, we don't have to agree on the terminology, but that gets us away from the point.
The point is that he tried to murder me. What's the point? What does it matter what he believes in his... What does it matter how he feels that you address him as? To me, focusing on that is what's disgusting. He tried to kill me with a metal bike lock. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When we focus on the action, we remove ourselves from the understanding and from any potential solution. If we just focus on soldiers firing at each other, and this time you're the victim. Like, I don't want you to get attacked. Like, what have you done to anybody?
Nothing.
Whether your point of view is right, like, whether your point of view is harming someone else, it's something that you don't believe. So, like, from your point of view, you're definitely a victim, and I think you're a victim of violence. I don't think we should be attacking students for having opinions, but I do understand that she thinks that she's under attack from the media, from the culture, from the laws we're putting in place that attack her personally.
But my question to you is, do you think that gives her a right to take lethal action against someone that's sitting behind a table and not addressing anyone in particular at all? Do you think that gives her a right to pick up a weapon and attack somebody sitting behind a table and hit them in the head that can destroy their life? I'm just asking your personal opinion because you've said that...
No, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, like, Paige isn't hurting anyone on that level. So, yeah, like, you don't take a bike lock and attack a student. What does that change?
I mean, even what's it matter from
from
punching someone in the head or from scratching someone? I mean, I think any kind of violence, if I was to scratch someone because I'm angry at them, that's messed up too, right? You know, you can go from this extreme to punching and hitting to hitting a bike lock or even a gun. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a gun on campus, right? So there's no, you can't agree with hitting someone or scratching someone or you know, killing them with a bike lock, right? I think any kind of violence against someone because of my opinion, which first of all, he doesn't even know how I feel. What if I was, you know, feeling, what if I liked transgender people? What if I liked his, you know, whoever he wants to be? What if I liked them? And he doesn't know my opinion. He never spoke to me in his life before. He has no idea who I am. He just knows the club I'm in. And that's disgusting.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand that. Like I said, I don't think anyone should target you. I don't think that's beneficial. I don't think it helps.
You can't take violence back if it changes somebody's life. And
his life has changed.
And that's the, you know, that's the problem when...
This impacts everyone.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah, that's why I said violence stabs both ways. Paige is a victim. Because Paige was attacked for something. Paige doesn't think that she's doing anything wrong. She does. So I just understand where people are coming from. If I were there, if I was her friend, if I knew that she had intended to do this, I would have counseled her against it. I would have said the same thing I'm saying to you. What's your goal here? You're just going to hurt somebody.
I don't think he thought before he did it. That's the thing. I think he has so much evil in his brain.
And that's the thing.
That he just attacked without even knowing, without even trying to have a conversation. If he had walked up to us and said, hey, can I please talk to you about how I feel? I'd say, yes, please come talk to us. Please have a conversation with us. I encourage that with anyone. I don't care if you're this, that, or the other. You can be he, him, she, they. I don't care. You could be a furry. Come talk to us. Like, I always encourage open conversation.
Oh, we like furries. Furries are great. They're harmless. Besides, most furries are in IT, and we need our tech to work.
All right, next, a 70-year-old woman who claims she was physically attacked by a male teenager while at a peaceful nationwide march for women. She says the attack has truly altered her life, and we're going to add her to the conversation after the break. My next guest, Kathy, says that her life changed forever when she became a victim of political violence while at a peaceful demonstration last year. At 70 years old, Kathy says a 17-year-old boy, accompanied by a small group of protesters, approached her and then punched her in the stomach. Kathy says the physical attack was so traumatic and frightening, it has kept her from participating in any type of activism, something that she truly loves. Kathy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to do it. And you say you're too afraid to attend rallies or engage in politics anymore because of this attack.
A punch to the gut.
I hate to hear that. What happened?
I was standing there. We were in line, with our signs, and this group of young men were running through the crowd, And as I turned, he just punched me and knocked me to the ground, punched me in the gut. And if it weren't for the two women that caught me, my head would have hit the ground. And so then he started to run, and the women were yelling and that he had done this, and the officer got him. And he was arrested.
And this was a rally in November of 24, and it was a nationwide women's march in support of Kamala Harris.
Correct.
And there was a group of 6 of you, and you had flags and signs. And this 17-year-old, do you have any idea what his thoughts were, his beliefs were, what he objected to? Did he have a clue what he was doing?
He objected to us being out there.
Why?
He objected to us being out there. He's from the other side. He had his flag, and he wanted the street. Now, we asked the officer who we had paid to have an officer to protect us, because this is what has been happening with trucks pulling up and smoking us out and different things happening. So we just thought to have an officer there was the best for us. And when we told the officer about him, the kids running around, and I'll say kids because they're high school kids, and they didn't separate him. He didn't do anything. He just left him run through the crowd, and he was running. From what I don't know, but I was standing there with, about 6 other women. And it was good that he hit me instead of the 90-year-old, I'll say. But he said he didn't mean to hit me.
And he's got a court date coming up, and you're not confident that much will happen?
No, so far nothing has happened. And I don't know, being, a juvenile, that anything will happen.
You say you feel like more of the violence is coming from the right, not necessarily the Republicans, but the Trumpers.
That's what I think. It's not the Republicans. There's a group of Trumpers I live in a very red county, and we have had a lot of problems that go on. And so I stay to myself. And most of my friends stay to themselves. You go to a rally, you figure you're safe, you're out there with your group, and you're, people you don't know, people you do know. And you're out there and you're having a good time. You're holding your sign and you're standing up for what your rights are. And then to have somebody come in and just punch you and knock you off your feet is terrible. It's disgusting. There's no kind of violence, I don't care what anybody says, that is good. There's no good violence.
I agree with you, ma'am.
Kathy says the emotional trauma she endured from her attack has silenced her voice indefinitely, and that's exactly what the perpetrators of political violence want. We'll talk about that and what the future holds for Kathy after the break. We've been speaking with Kathy, who was punched in the stomach by a teenager. I think it's interesting that he chose a 70-year-old woman to punch and not some guy that was twice his size or his equal. That's my problem. And Kathy, you say it seems like it's coming from the Trumpers. I actually looked it up when you said that, and the facts don't bear that out. Democratic support for political violence has almost doubled since September of last year, from 18% to 35% among participants at anti-Trump protests. So it's certainly gone up on the Democratic side, double. But it's not one side or the other. It's gone up too much on both sides. And we need to calm this down. And I hate to hear comments from Daisy saying, oh, this is the logical thing to do. There are so many alternatives to advancing the agenda short of violence. And in the situation that you were in, Paige, where this gets swung at your head, instead of this getting swung at your head, I really wonder what would have happened if instead a conversation had ensued.
We could have agreed on something, probably.
I don't agree with everything that any group comes forth with, but I've been platforming the transgender population. I've done episodes and have met such wonderful, intelligent, exciting people. And I don't agree with everything they say, or they don't agree with everything I say.
Did you ever want to attack them, though?
But I've met and been enriched by so many interesting people that have become friends across decades. We don't agree on everything, but you don't have to love everything about someone to love them.
I like that. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Final thoughts after the break. Well, I'm back with Daisy, Paige, and Kathy. Daisy, I'm offended by your attitude about violence. I think it's reckless. I think it's absolutely the wrong approach to take. Violence is not the answer. I want to thank Daisy, Paige, and Kathy for sharing their stories tonight. We reached out to the attorney reported to represent the suspect who allegedly assaulted Paige for a statement, but did not receive a response. We also reached out to Paige's university, and we received the following statement. The University of Texas at Dallas Police Department investigated a reported assault that occurred March 25 on the UT Dallas campus. An individual who was confirmed to be a UT Dallas student at the time was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, resisting arrest, and assault of a peace officer, among other charges. This individual is no longer a student and has been banned from campus. We consider this to be an isolated incident. Our goal is to ensure that UTD remains a safe learning environment where students can express various political and social viewpoints. If you want to see more about tonight's episode and everything that is happening here at Merit TV, please go to merittv.com. Thank you, and we will see you next time. Hey, Dr. Phil here. My network, Merit TV, has it all.
Now, let me blow your mind.
Merit TV's got the news that matters.
The selection of a new pope.
Entertainment you crave.
Busted. Everybody in a good mood today?
And live events.
Surprise.
What am I, chopped liver?
With serious punch.
Big shot.
Go to merittv.com and download the Merit TV app today.